The last European Parliament plenary to discuss this desperate humanitarian crisis took place in April. Since then, the situation has continued to deteriorate dramatically. So far, more than 41,000 people have been killed, and a further 95,000 have been injured in Gaza. Almost 2 million people are internally displaced. 495,000 are facing catastrophic levels of food insecurity, while 745,000 face emergency levels of food insecurity. And 86% of Gaza Strip remains under Israeli evacuation orders. I could go on with these harrowing statistics. It is nearly a year now since the brutal and indiscriminate Hamas terrorist attacks against Israel and the beginning of the war in Gaza. For many months, we have remained steadfast in our call to reach an immediate ceasefire, unconditional release of all hostages, and protection of civilians. Today, this call is more urgent than ever. In Gaza, the collapse of the sanitation, waste management, and health systems, coupled with summer heat and overcrowded conditions in the camps, has led to severe and widespread disease outbreaks, including hepatitis A, polio, and skin and respiratory infections, affecting children in particular. Violence and obstruction continue to impede humanitarian workers' efforts to support those in need. Despite extremely dangerous conditions and severely constrained humanitarian access both into and within Gaza, our humanitarian partners are working around the clock alongside local Palestinian organizations, risking their lives, trying to deliver critical support to Palestinians in need. Sadly, and absolutely unacceptable, the Gaza Strip has seen a globally unprecedented death toll among UN personnel and other aid workers since October. Humanitarian access must be granted according to international humanitarian law and must not be used as a political tool. Israel has a legal responsibility to ensure humanitarian organizations have safe access to those in need, as recalled by the International Court of Justice in its advisory opinion and in line with several UN Security Council resolutions. We therefore reiterate our call to all parties to abide by international law and in particular international humanitarian law. The United Nations, and in particular UNRWA, are irreplaceable when it comes to the humanitarian response in Gaza. Their mandate must be respected, and we will continue to support them. On a rare positive note, I'm glad that the World Health Organization, with its anti-polio vaccination campaign, has exceeded its target. The first round of campaign has now concluded across Gaza successfully, and the round 2 for administering the second dose of vaccine is set to begin in 4 weeks' time. It is significant that the parties have understood the crucial necessity of this campaign, and this anti-polio vaccination campaign is a good example of how political will, when it is there, can enable such operations, and the proof that a constructive dialogue is possible. Since we last discussed this tragedy back in April, the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, has also seen a surge in violence. Demolitions, construction of illegal settlements, and forced displacement of resident Palestinians and refugees All of this is on the rise, as are terrorist attacks against Israelis. There have been over 600 Palestinians killed, including more than 100 children this year alone in the West Bank. The EU has already imposed sanctions on some of the leaders of the extremist settlers and relevant entities. Furthermore, discussions are currently ongoing in the Council following High Representative Borrell's proposal to impose sanctions against violent settler enablers, including 2 ministers, for their public incitement to violence against Palestinian civilians. While we strive to solve the immediate problems, we must also continue our outreach in favor of the two-state solution. Next week, during the UN General Assembly High-Level Week, High Representative Borrell, alongside the Arab League OIC Conference Contact Group and Norway, will co-host a high-level meeting to revive the political process. A process that includes all stakeholders and aims for a peaceful and secure coexistence of 2 states, Israel and Palestine. As part of our efforts in favor of the two-state solution, we need to continue to support the Palestinian Authority, including through its reform process. The European Union is the biggest provider of external assistance to the Palestinian Authority. In a sign of our commitment, the Commission has adopted an emergency package of €400 million for 2024, of which over €270 million have already been disbursed. We strongly believe that the return of the Palestinian Authority to govern Gaza is the only viable solution. Finally, the risk of regional escalation from Iran or its affiliated groups in the region further highlights the importance of reaching a ceasefire and the release of hostages in Gaza, and the importance of working on the resumption of political process. The European Union is ready to work with all relevant actors towards this goal. Thank you.
Vielen Dank.